question that I have is I read someplace at one time the delay in the delivery on the physical, like if you had to wait 2 to 3 weeks to get the physical metal, the cost would jump X% or something of that nature. And then if it went 2 months to 4 months, it would be, and then so on. It was, I don't remember exactly how I read it, but I found it very interesting.
Well, it's the non-performance that's involved in non-delivery. Normal delivery on COMEX, I don't know what that is, but I would have to say probably a 2-week period would be nominal.
Okay.
And so anything beyond that would be unusual, and they would probably have to pay interest on the fact that they hadn't delivered. But the most important factor there is they were unable to deliver, and they did two things. Number one, they borrowed gold from the European Central Bank and from Canada, although they won't admit it. And then they started announcing that they would, instead of giving the gold and silver physical to the contract holder, they would give them shares in the ETF, GLD or SLV.
I understand that, but this was more of a, you were going to pay a premium to get it. The demand would be so high, whereas last year the premium for silver was like $3 an ounce over spot. And so the premium would increase at a higher flow because people would be they would be willing to pay a higher dollar to get it.
Well, if they made a contract, they're just supposed simply to get the delivery within a reasonable space of time, and interest would augment that. But on the other hand, if you're not getting delivery in a reasonable time, and that's not only happening at COMEX, it's happening at other certificate issuing groups, which I won't go into on the air. But we've had hundreds of complaints about not getting delivery for 3-6 months.
Whoa, you're kidding.
Silver or gold in well-known mints. And so people tell me, what do I do? And I said, you liquidate your position and you simultaneously buy physical and take delivery.
Mm-hmm. All right. Thank you very much for the phone call, John. Let me go to Jim in West Virginia. Jim in West Virginia, you're on with Bob Chapman. Go ahead, please.
Oh, yes, for the sake of new listeners who may not be familiar, what do the words monetize and collateralize mean? And I'll just listen. Thank all of you.
Thank you very much. Monetized and collateralized, and the question about the FDIC being capitalized. Monetized, collateralized, and capitalized.
Oh, boy, we really caught it this morning. Monetized is when the Federal Reserve creates money out of thin air and goes into the market and buys U.S. Treasuries. And that means that they've taken this money and they've purchased treasuries in the market, money that didn't previously exist, and the money goes to someone, let's say a bank, and the bank then takes the money and lends it. And that begins a monetization process.
Can you stay with us for a couple more minutes?
There's no monetization.
Okay. Can you stay with us a couple more minutes? I want to ask about the FDIC being capitalized. Can you stay with us? All right. We'll be right back. 3-minute break. Stay tuned to the Power Hour. This is where it's at. We're joined by our guest, Bob Chapman, the editor of the financial newsletter called The International Forecaster. TheInternationalForecaster.com. Call 877-479-8178. Get a complimentary copy. 877-479-8178. 8178. Tell them the Power Hour sent you also. I want to just add one thing, or ask one thing, and that is with the idea of capitalization. First of all, what is capitalization, and how does the FDIC look right now as far as their being able to pay off all the debts? And, oh, by the way, how many banks went bust on Friday?
On Friday, I only saw one. I think the figure is 89. And, they're very surreptitious about that. Very often you have to dig for how many. The week before it was 5. But there's a lot of them going under that aren't even listed. But to answer your question, the FDIC collects money from the member banks. It's like a toll system. And they've been increasing the amount of money, and it's really strangling the banks. And the FDIC essentially is out of money. They've asked for a line of credit of $500 billion from the U.S. Congress, and they've been guaranteed that they're going to get $100 billion. Now, let me put this in perspective. Of all of the insured deposits, which is $250,000 or less, and that's a temporary thing, incidentally. It's not permanent. It has to be renewed. I think it's next month, which it probably will be. And if you take all of those deposits that are insured, you would need $700 billion to insure 1% of those bank deposits. So essentially, there really is no insurance. It's another scam.
Ooh, that's scary. That is really scary. So one more big bank to go under, and it's all done. All the money is gone, wouldn't you say?
Incidentally, the word collateralization, it's when you get a loan, say for $1 million, and the bank wants collateral. What you do is you put up a building, say, worth $350,000 as collateral against the loan.
Okay.
That's collateralization.
All righty. Thank you very much for joining us on the Power Hour today. We look forward to you coming back in 2 weeks, and maybe you'll have some good news for us.
I sure will.
I
Bye-bye.
sure hope so. Thank you so much for joining us today. We're going to change the subject.